It goes without saying that Dragon Ball Z was integral to the childhoods of countless viewers. Initially released in Japan in 1989 as the animated continuation of the original Dragon Ball series, it eventually became popular across the globe, especially through its numerous dubbed versions. Children would come home from school and immediately turn on their televisions, waiting for that opening theme to begin. Its colorful animation, exciting fight sequences, high stakes, humor, and memorable storytelling made viewers in many parts of the world eagerly await the next episode. Goku, the central protagonist of the wider Dragon Ball franchise, is also one of its most popular characters and is instantly recognizable throughout global pop culture. However, in this video, we're going to be moving away from Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and the other obvious powerhouses. Instead, we're going to be discussing 8 overlooked divine figures from different corners of Dragon Ball continuity whose authority, magical abilities, unusual responsibilities, or largely unexplored power make them fascinating. Not every character on this list is a conventional fighter, and not all of them belong to the same continuity. Some come from the primary manga and anime, some are anime original, and others appear in video games or promotional stories. It's going to be a fascinating video, so without wasting a single further second, let's jump on in.
He's smart, I'll give him that. Hopefully they'll balance themselves out.
King Yema and Deo. King Yema is based on Yama, the judge of the dead found in Buddhist and Hindu traditions. In Dragon Ball, King Yema is an enormous red ogre who serves as the chief judge of souls arriving in the other world. He decides whether the deceased are sent to heaven or hell based on the lives they led before their death. He can also grant exceptional martial artists permission to keep their physical bodies in the afterlife, allowing them to continue training rather than existing only as disembodied souls. King Yema operates from the check-in station, which serves as the entrance point for souls entering the other world. Therefore, it's safer not to describe every realm as existing in one perfectly mapped vertical arrangement. King Yema first becomes important after Goku dies while fighting Raditz. Kami brings Goku before him and requests permission for Goku to travel along Snake Way and train under King Kai. Yema agrees because Goku died while protecting Earth. Despite functioning primarily as a divine administrator rather than a frontline warrior, King Yema is far from a helpless bureaucrat. The series reveals that he personally subdued Raditz when the Saiyan attempted to resist his judgment. Considering Raditz had overwhelmed Goku and Piccolo before their desperate combined attack, that gives Yema an impressive, if largely undefined, level of physical power. The official Dragon Ball site describes him as a terrifying bureaucrat with the authority to make enormous decisions about the fate of the dead. Yema is usually portrayed as impatient and short-tempered, especially when mountains of souls are waiting to be processed. However, he's also intelligent, fair-minded, and capable of recognizing genuine heroism. In an anime scene, Kami suggests that King Kai may be stronger than King Yema. Yema overhears the comment and threatens to send Kami to hell, although the moment is played as a comedic display of irritation rather than a serious attempt to condemn him unjustly. King Yema's importance, therefore, comes from 2 different types of power. He possesses enough physical might to control dangerous souls like Raditz, but his true authority lies in deciding what happens to nearly everybody after they die. Elder Kai, Old Kai. To understand Elder Kai, we first need to understand the Supreme Kais. The divine hierarchy of Dragon Ball has developed and changed considerably over time. The 4 directional Kais, North, South, East, and West, traditionally oversee different regions of the living universe, while the Grand Kai stands above them in anime continuity. Supreme Kais occupy a higher divine rank and are associated with creation, guidance, and the development of life. In Ancient Universe 7, 5 Supreme Kais operate together, the North, South, East, and West Supreme Kais, with the Grand Supreme Kai standing above them. This arrangement shouldn't be treated as the current situation of every universe, though. By the era of Dragon Ball Z, Shin serves as Universe 7's active Supreme Kai, while Elder Kai remains as an ancient predecessor and advisor. Supreme Kais are associated with creation, while gods of destruction eliminate planets, species, and threats when destruction is required. The 2 offices are linked, and the life of a universe's active Supreme Kai is connected with the universe's god of destruction. Roughly 5 million years before the Majin Buu arc, Kid Buu attacked the sacred world of the Kai. He killed the West and North Supreme Kais, absorbed the South Supreme Kai, and later absorbed the Grand Supreme Kai. The East Supreme Kai, Shin, survived. Elder Kai comes from 15 generations before Shin. He was once a younger Supreme Kai who wore Potara earrings like other members of his order. One day, an elderly witch took one of his earrings and placed it on her ear, permanently fusing them together. The fusion gave Elder Kai his aged appearance, and it also granted him unusual magical knowledge and abilities that went beyond those of an ordinary Supreme Kai. His short stature, purple skin, wrinkled face, white hair, and tiny mustache reflect that fusion. He's often lecherous, self-important, and argumentative, but he also possesses tremendous wisdom and an ability that can unlock another person's dormant power without the dangerous transformation normally associated with exceeding one's limits. Elder Kai was sealed inside the Z-Sword by Beerus after irritating the god of destruction. Millions of years later, Gohan accidentally freed him when the supposedly unbreakable sword snapped during training. Elder Kai then performed a lengthy ritual that drew out Gohan's dormant potential, producing the form that's commonly known as Ultimate Gohan. He also gave Goku his own life so the Saiyan could return to the living world and help during the battle with Majin Buu. Elder Kai was subsequently restored when the Namekian Dragon Balls revived those killed during the conflict. Although he holds the knowledge and status of a Supreme Kai, Elder Kai is not primarily presented as an overwhelmingly powerful combatant. His greatest strengths are magical knowledge, experience, divine information, and the ability to unlock hidden power in others. That makes him one of the franchise's most important supporting deities, even though he rarely enters battle himself. Chronoa, the Supreme Kai of Time. It's not surprising that Chronoa appears on a list of overlooked divine characters. Many fans who follow only the original manga and principal TV anime may never have encountered her. Chronoa doesn't originate from Akira Toriyama's primary Dragon Ball manga or from the main Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super narratives. However, she is a major character in the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games and later appears throughout the separate Super Dragon Ball Heroes promotional continuity. Chronoa is the Supreme Kai of Time. Unlike Supreme Kais assigned to oversee a universe, she watches over the proper flow of history from the Time Nest. She works with the Time Patrol to repair altered events, contain temporal anomalies, and stop villains from changing history for their own benefit. This makes her responsibilities extremely unusual. A conventional Supreme Kai may oversee life and creation within one universe, while Chronoa deals with threats capable of destabilizing entire timelines. However, her inclusion in the games and promotional anime should not be used to establish facts about the main manga continuity unless those facts are separately confirmed there. Chronoa is depicted as a youthful woman with reddish-pink hair, purple-pink skin, pointed ears, and dark eyes. Like other Supreme Kais, she wears Potara earrings. Her clothing resembles traditional Supreme Kai attire but has a more personalized and practical design. She also wears white high-heeled boots, which humorously compensate for her short stature. Despite her youthful appearance, Chronoa is incredibly old. Xenoverse material establishes that she's been protecting time for tens of millions of years and was already active during ancient events involving Demigra and the Time Patrol. Exact age comparisons between Chronoa and Elder Kai vary across supplemental material and should not be treated as perfectly consistent with the main continuity. Chronoa also possesses a more powerful transformation known as Time Power Unleashed. In Super Dragon Ball Heroes, she uses this state during battles involving Eos, the former Supreme Kai of Time. The official Dragon Ball site identifies Chronoa as the current Supreme Kai of Time and depicts her battling Eos over the fate of different timelines. Her abilities include teleportation, magical barriers, energy attacks, healing, sealing techniques, and manipulation of temporal energy. But she can't simply rewrite all of history whenever she chooses. It's her duty to protect the existing flow of time and correct improper alterations. That responsibility gives Chronoa one of the largest areas of jurisdiction in the extended Dragon Ball franchise. The Slain Supreme Kais, North Supreme Kai and West Supreme Kai. Long before Shin became the active Supreme Kai of Universe 7, several Supreme Kais lived together on the sacred world of the Kai. Among them were the North and West Supreme Kais. The West Supreme Kai was a female deity and the first of the directional Supreme Kais shown confronting Kid Buu during his attack. She launched an aggressive assault, but Kid Buu quickly overwhelmed and killed her. The North Supreme Kai became another of Buu's victims during the same massacre. The anime provides slightly more visual detail about these encounters than the original manga, but neither character receives enough screen time for audiences to understand the full extent of their abilities. That said, they were undoubtedly powerful by ordinary mortal standards. Supreme Kais are divine beings responsible for enormous regions of the cosmos, and Shin initially believed that each Supreme Kai could have defeated Frieza with a single strike. However, that doesn't mean North and West Supreme Kai possessed power comparable to the strongest modern fighters. Kid Buu killed both of them, while the South Supreme Kai, the physically strongest of the directional Supreme Kais, managed to put up a more substantial fight before being absorbed. The official Dragon Ball site identifies South Supreme Kai as the largest and strongest of the 4 directional Supreme Kais and confirms that Buu had already defeated West and North before their confrontation. North and West Supreme Kai are therefore forgotten less because their powers broke the scale, and more because they belong to an ancient divine order that Buu nearly erased. Their deaths also explain why Shin was so inexperienced during the Majin Buu arc. He didn't inherit his position after centuries of careful training under older gods. He became Universe 7's highest surviving Supreme Kai after watching nearly every senior member of his order die or disappear. Grand Kai. Dai Kaio. Grand Kai stands above the 4 directional Kais in the hierarchy presented by the Dragon Ball Z anime. North Kai, South Kai, East Kai, and West Kai oversee different quadrants of the living universe, while Grand Kai supervises them and presides over elite martial artists in the other world. Grand Kai doesn't properly appear as an active character in Akira Toriyama's original manga. However, Toriyama designed him for the anime and included a small representation of the character in material explaining the divine hierarchy. The anime portrays Grand Kai as an eccentric elderly man who dresses like a rock-loving hipster. He wears jeans, a denim jacket, boots, sunglasses, and a cap. He listens to rock music on a portable stereo and owns a blue classic convertible. Despite holding an exalted divine position, he behaves casually and treats many lower-ranking characters with friendliness rather than demanding constant ceremony. Grand Kai trains, or at least supervises the training of powerful deceased martial artists who were permitted to retain their bodies in the other world. Following Cell's defeat, Goku travels to Grand Kai's planet and becomes involved in the Otherworld tournament. The competition brings together fighters representing the North, South, East, and West galaxies. Goku eventually faces Pikkon in the final match. Their battle doesn't end in an ordinary draw. Grand Kai disqualifies both of them because they touched the arena ceiling, which he declares counts as being outside the ring. He then postpones the promised personal training, partly because he's neglected his own exercises, and realizes that Goku and Pikkon have become extraordinarily powerful. The official site confirms that the 4 Kais arranged the tournament and that Grand Kai was present during the competition, but it's never conclusively demonstrated whether Grand Kai was weaker than both fighters at that moment or merely embarrassed by his poor condition. What is clear is that he wasn't eager to prove himself against them. Grand Kai's importance, therefore, comes from his rank and experience more than from a documented catalog of universe-destroying feats. He's one of the most memorable anime original gods precisely because he combines cosmic authority with the personality of somebody who would rather listen to rock music and cruise in his car. Grand Supreme Kai. Dai Kaioshin. The Grand Supreme Kai once stood above the 4 directional Supreme Kais of Universe 7. He ruled from the sacred world of the Kai and was responsible for guiding the other Supreme Kais before Majin Buu devastated their order. Grand Supreme Kai was warm, peaceful, generous, and notably fond of food. His round body and gentle personality made him appear less threatening than the South Supreme Kai, but that appearance concealed tremendous divine power. 10 million years before the events involving Majin Buu, Grand Supreme Kai and South Supreme Kai fought Moro, the Planet Eater. Moro had destroyed numerous worlds and absorbed the life energy of entire planets. Grand Supreme Kai sacrificed most of his divine power to seal away Moro's magic, allowing the Galactic Patrol to imprison him. The official Dragon Ball site identifies Grand Supreme Kai as an extremely high-ranking god, standing above the North, South, East, and West Supreme Kais. It also confirms his battle with Moro and his sacrifice of divine power to seal Moro's magic. 5 million years later, Kid Buu attacked the sacred world of the Kai. Grand Supreme Kai saved Shin, but was eventually overwhelmed and absorbed. After absorbing him, Buu's body became rounder and heavier, producing the form usually known as Fat Buu. The Grand Supreme Kai's gentle disposition also influenced Buu's personality, suppressing some of Kid Buu's uncontrollable evil and making the resulting being more innocent and emotionally complex. However, it would be too broad to say that Grand Supreme Kai's goodness alone caused Buu to become permanently heroic. Fat Buu remained dangerous and committed numerous atrocities. His eventual moral change was also shaped by his friendship with Mr. Satan, his affection for the puppy Bee, and the separation of his evil nature into another form. Grand Supreme Kai's influence made goodness possible, while Mr. Satan helped bring that goodness to the surface. In the Dragon Ball Super manga's Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc, Grand Supreme Kai temporarily reemerges through Good Buu's body to confront Moro. Although most of his former divine power is gone, he retains his memories, techniques, and determination to stop the enemy he once imprisoned. In that sense, Grand Supreme Kai truly did survive inside Majin Buu. He lost his independent body, but part of his identity, power, and compassionate nature continued influencing the universe millions of years later. Rhymus. Dragon Ball Daima. Rhymus is one of the most important additions introduced by Dragon Ball Daima. He's identified as a Super Majin with extraordinary creative power. According to the history explained in Episode 10, a benevolent Supreme Demon King instructed Rhymus to create new universes outside the demon realm. Rhymus followed that command and created the universes that became the wider Dragon Ball multiverse. He then selected members of the Glind race to travel into those universes and serve as Supreme Kais. That revelation significantly expands the cosmology of the franchise. Instead of presenting Supreme Kais as beings whose origins were completely separate from the demon realm, Daima establishes that Glinds originally came from the second demon world and were chosen by Rhymus to govern the newly created universes. Crunchyroll's recap of the episode confirms that the Supreme Demon King ordered Rhymus to make a new universe, and that Rhymus assigned and selected Glinds to oversee the new universes as Supreme Kais. Rhymus is short and has thin legs, squinted eyes, a large oval head, pointed ears, and light blue skin. He's mostly bald apart from a small amount of orange hair and has a pearl-like object on his forehead. His belt buckle bears a symbol resembling the Japanese katakana character Ra, corresponding with the beginning of his Japanese name. The original script incorrectly stated that Rhymus never appeared in the series. Rhymus may have possessed enough divine ability to build universes, but Daima does not show him entering combat or prove that he could defeat Zeno, the Grand Priest, an angel, or a god of destruction. That mystery is precisely what makes him so fascinating. He may be one of the greatest creators in the history of Dragon Ball, yet we still know almost nothing about what became of him. Zeno's twin attendants. Zeno is the supreme ruler of the Dragon Ball multiverse. His appearance is deceptive. He looks small, colorful, and childlike, but he possesses the authority and ability to erase individual beings, planets, universes, and even timelines. Now, that doesn't necessarily make him the greatest martial artist. Zeno has difficulty following extremely fast battles and relies on the Grand Priest and attendants to organize events around him. His danger comes from his absolute erasure ability and unquestioned authority rather than demonstrated hand-to-hand combat skill. Two nearly identical attendants normally stand beside him. After the second Zeno from Future Trunks' timeline begins living with the present Zeno, additional attendants are shown accompanying them. The attendants are tall, with cyan skin and severe facial expressions. They wear large, high-collared purple coats with gold trim over gray bodysuits and purple and gold boots. Their hands are usually folded behind their backs. They can fly, transport Zeno, block visitors, and react quickly enough to place themselves between him and anyone approaching unexpectedly. However, nearly everything about their actual combat strength remains unknown. The original script claims that they're approximately as strong as Whis and Vados. However, no canonical source confirms that comparison. They have never fought Whis, Vados, the Grand Priest, a god of destruction, or any major mortal warrior. Their position, however, suggests that they are trusted and probably possess significant abilities, but Zeno may not require conventional protection in the first place. The enemy could overpower him physically. The attendants may function as security officers, ceremonial guardians, transportation specialists, and gatekeepers who prevent unwanted individuals from disturbing the ruler of everything. It's also inaccurate to call Zeno Omni-Man. Omni-Man is a character from Invincible, and Zeno's English title is usually Omni-King or Grand Zeno. The attendants therefore belong on this list, not because their strength has been proven to break the scale, but because they occupy one of the highest and most mysterious positions in the divine hierarchy. They stand beside the ruler feared by Supreme Kais, gods of destruction, and angels alike. Yet, the series has revealed almost nothing about who they are, where they came from, or what they could do if forced into a battle. The Dragon Ball franchise is a fascinating blend of fantasy, comedy, drama, martial arts, science fiction, and of course, adventure. None of those genre elements feels completely out of place because the franchise has always been willing to expand its world in unexpected directions. Its divine hierarchy, though, is particularly complicated. It includes Kais, Supreme Kais, Grand Supreme Kais, Gods of Destruction, Angels, the Grand Priest, Zeno, Demon Realm Rulers, the Supreme Kai of Time, and now Rhymus, the mysterious Super Majin credited with creating the universes. However, these characters don't all belong to one perfectly unified continuity. Chronoa comes primarily from Xenoverse and Super Dragon Ball heroes. Grand Kai and the Otherworld Tournament are largely anime original. Rhymus comes from Dragon Ball Daima. The North and West Supreme Kais appear mainly through ancient flashbacks, and the power of Zeno's attendants has never been established, but that doesn't make them any less interesting. In fact, their limited appearances and unexplored histories are exactly what makes them so compelling. Over more than 4 decades, the Dragon Ball franchise has expanded through manga, anime, theatrical films, video games, card games, toys, and merchandise, capturing the imaginations of audiences around the globe. But that does bring us to the end of our video, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, because that's the best way to tell us you want to see more videos like this. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.